Where you at, Berto?
CoryxKenshin's manga is not very good. Get right into the video, man. They can't let my dog CoryxKenshin breathe, bruh. But I am genuinely curious. Have any of you guys checked out his manga? You know, we recently just reacted to the new volume being released. He seemed very excited about it. It caught my attention and made me want to check it out. But then I see stuff like this, people saying it's not really tough like that. And I'm gonna be honest, you know, Cory's my dog. I rock with him. You know, we love CoryxKenshin over here on this channel. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Game is game. If the anime is not hitting, if the manga is not hitting, we gotta keep it real. Let's get right into the video and see why this individual thinks so. But I'm curious to hear y'all feedback as well.
Hey Samurai, it's me, Randy X Kenshin. I know I've been gone for a while. Sorry for the poor communication. I just can't help it. I'm just a regular guy. To make up for all the time we lost together, I got something special in store for you all. I will drop 100 videos. Yes, you heard me. 100 videos by the end of 2025. Wait, was that? There's only 1 week of the year left? Oh. Maybe next year, guys, if I'm still around. But don't worry, I've been working on something behind the scenes. My brand new manga, Randy Legend. About a year ago, YouTube sensation CoryxKenshin announced the release of his brand new series, Monsters We Make.
Epic trailer, by the way. We're not even gonna act for a second like that thing wasn't tough.
If you're not really into Let's Play channels, you might not have heard of him. Cory is a massive gaming YouTuber with over 23 million subscribers, and he's been in the game for over 16 years now. A thing about Cory is that he's obviously a massive weeb. His entire online persona revolves around samurai, and he'd even go to school to learn Japanese. So it's no shocker that he's interested in anime and manga. He'd take that interest to a whole new level when he created his own original work. But following Volume 1's release, there was a giant dispute online on whether or not Monsters We Make could truly be considered an actual manga. The debate would get so intense that it overshadowed any substantial discussion about the volume itself. Instead of discussing the book's actual content, people debated on whether or not it was a comic or...
You know, I was low-key thinking that, you know, and obviously I don't really care in the sense that, like, obviously because I respect anime and manga so much, I guess these technicalities matter. But art is art, and if it's good art, can we not just appreciate that? But it did definitely cross my mind, like, Cory's American, whether he's pulling from Japanese inspiration and whatnot, fine. But we see cartoons do that all the time, and they're still considered American cartoons. Like, I think a great example of that is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Avatar is not an anime. It's 100% a cartoon. It just pulls heavy inspiration from that world. And I mean, shit, it's that type of culture, but it's still a cartoon. So I was low-key thinking that. It did cross my mind, but on the other side of just an appreciator of art, it's like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, is it good? That's what matters.
A manga, I feel like the whole controversy distracted people from assessing the quality of the chapters being put out. Comic, manga, graphic novel, the label doesn't really matter. What really matters is if the series was good or not.
Yeah.
So, is Monsters We Make a good read?
Fuck no, baby.
Come on, man, you read the title. You knew what my answer was. I was originally going to let the series reach 5 volumes before reviewing it so it could have a fair shot, but Cory has stated that he really wanted actual feedback on his project, and I felt like it was better to express my criticisms now for future improvement. It's already been a year since it was first released. What better time than now to release this video? I've noticed that the people who work on Monsters We Make comment on videos covering it, so there's a good possibility that they might stumble across my video, so I'm gonna tone down my usual snark and try to behave today. Since there's a 90% chance you haven't read a single chapter of Monsters We Make, I'll go ahead and break it down for you. Monsters We Make is set in a cyberpunk dystopian society in the year 2114. The city of New Eden is dominated.
I will always say, like, the cyberpunk themes always kind of like I don't know, maybe it's the cyberpunk game that like fucked it up for me. But cyberpunk themes always kind of like made me, I'm kind of off that. Maybe that's why I haven't watched it yet, bro.
Dominated by the imposing
Or read it,
influence
rather.
of Sonata. Sonata is a massive corporate conglomerate that controls essentially everything, from technology to pharmaceuticals to education and more. The reason why they operate everything is because 17 years ago, a darkness consumed the world and humanity fell into anarchy. People were probably going fucking buck wild,
Whoa.
becoming uncivilized
Whoa.
animals that only adhered to their
Come on,
own
man.
desires. The Sonata Corporation
Can't show
allegedly
that.
saved mankind and restored the world back to its original state. So everything's all fine and dandy now, right? Now there's these mutated humans called leakers lurking around, and they're blending into society. These newfound vermin are blatant threats to humanity.
Kind of feels like a Parasite vibe. If y'all never watched that Parasite anime or read the manga, peak fiction. Y'all go grab that, man. Yo, real quick, if you like making money, I need you to watch this part of the video. If you don't like making money, then go ahead and skip it, but that really should be none of y'all. I know you guys have been seeing me promote this new app called Free Cash, and the big talk of the town is
Is this a scam, Berto? What is this?
well, look at this guy and this guy. All people from our community that are making money through the Free Cash app. The link is in the description. Even one person from my boy Astro Dior's community made $1,000 using the Free Cash app. I know it sounds crazy, but yes, you can make free money while playing games on your phone. But let me break this down in a very clear way for you guys so you know exactly what's going on. When you sign up for Free Cash using the link in my description, once you're in, you're gonna see a list of games pop up. You download them, you play them, you beat the levels, get to the certain requirements that they tell you to hit. And once you get there, you're gonna get some credits sent to your account. Every single time you hit the requirements, you get paid real money. And they make the process so easy that you can cash out that money into your PayPal or even gift cards. And yes, it is completely free to use. Now there are some options where you can spend a little cheese to get through the level faster, but you don't need to do that. The reason why this is even possible is because these games are trying to get new players onto their platform. So they pay free cash to pay you to get people to play the game. Now I know I showed you a crazy example of somebody making up to $1,000, which it's possible, but realistically it might take some time. This is just an easy way you can make an extra 10, maybe 20 bucks, just doing something that you guys probably do for free anyway. So if you're gonna be bullshitting on your phone playing games, why not get paid? So if you've been on the fence, this is your sign. Click the link in my description and try out a few games. And when you make your money, take a screenshot and send it to me, bro, because I want to see y'all make that cheese. Because if I'm winning, I want to make sure y'all winning too. I love y'all. Y'all know what to do. Link in the description, and you're gonna get a $5 bonus using my shit. Now let's get right back to the video. Where you at, family?
But luckily, good old Sonata Co has just the right solution for this. Child soldiers. Honestly, I couldn't think of a better plan myself. It's foolproof. Sonata builds New Eden Academy. On the surface, it's just an ordinary school for exceptionally gifted students, but in actuality, it's a facility to recruit teenage soldiers for battle. Enter Jabari Booker, our main lead. He's a prodigy who gets accepted into New Eden Academy for his musical accolades. He's completely unaware of what's really going on at the school until there's a big reveal that he's being selected to fight on the front lines. Well, it would have been a big reveal if it wasn't obvious from the start. Jabari is supposed to be at this school for music, but the entrance exams he takes are all physical assessments.
So they kind of fool the kids into thinking it's like a regular school situation.
What music student has to take a fitness gram pacer test to get in? I don't think Beethoven was doing that shit. He didn't think it was a little strange that they were analyzing his physical capabilities. The only way the reader wouldn't have seen this coming was if they truly believed Sonata wasn't shady from page 1, which is impossible. You're telling me that the massive corporation that controls every aspect of your life is actually evil? Who would have seen that coming? You can see the twist coming from a mile away.
Fair enough. You know, again, I'm not reading it. I'm taking your word for it. But, you know, in any type of movie or fiction or just anything entertainment, when it feels too predictable, it's boring, right? But hey, we're definitely going through his opinion right now. I'm not going to stamp that as fact.
Making the story feel predictable, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but it...
I think a lot of times it is, man. I think sometimes the best feeling when you're watching something is when you think you know where the story's heading. So you get that little bit of like, haha, I know what's going on. And then it goes completely left and you're like, I can't believe that just happened, you know?
In this case, it makes it hard for the story to form its own identity. Successful manga typically have some sort of hook to set them apart from their competitors. However, there is nothing here that will appeal to anyone who's accustomed to the dystopian cliches of this genre. To make up for this, you would have to write some really intriguing characters. But they don't. Jabari gets assigned to the Alpha team, where we meet our main cast. The Alpha team is by far the weakest aspect of the series. In storytelling, your main characters must be well defined and fleshed out. Your protagonists need to be dimensional in order to be believable. But the characters here feel a bit derivative and uninspired. Each team member appears to be based on an archetype rather than being fully developed. First impressions are a key defining moment for a character. A character can be instantly revered just by how they're introduced. So I was baffled by how they chose to introduce the leader, Liam. When Jabari is about to enter the school, Liam pops up and pushes him into oncoming traffic for some reason. Then he quote unquote saves his life and has the gall to say, "Was that my fault or yours?" Gee, I don't know, you tell me, pal. It's an interaction that's inconsistent with Liam's character at any other point in the series. He's usually your stoic and mysterious shonen deuteragonist. He doesn't exhibit this sort of behavior ever again, and it's odd. My biggest
I can see that. If they would have kept it consistent, that may have been more interesting. Okay, I'm following you.
complaint about the guy is that we don't know much about his relationships and dynamics with the other teammates. He's the leader, you know? It would be nice to see him act as the pillar holding the team up. If he served as an inspiration to look up to for the other members, he would be a lot more endearing. But other than that, Liam's one of the very few characters that are given some depth. Volume 3 is dedicated to Liam and his sad anime backstory. We get some insight on how and why he's at New Eden. It's a whole lot more than what other characters get. Along with Liam, we're introduced to September. She's this sweet, empathetic gal that has a connection with nature. I have two problems with how she's written in the beginning. First is how she doesn't say a word about Liam's little prank in the beginning. I guess this is just something he does all the time. I also don't like how she clearly knows what Jabari is getting himself into, but she doesn't say a word. She gives vague warnings instead of just telling him straight up about the shit that goes down here. Ooh, something bad is gonna happen. There's nothing preventing her from telling him either. She just basically lets him get set up. It's not exactly consistent with her considerate personality. The last thing I wanted to mention is her being Jabari's love interest. It's clear that they're going to develop romantic feelings for each other, and there could potentially be a proper romance here if they nurture their bond well. Allison is a rough and tough tomboy with an attitude. I know some of you niggas had your neurons activate as soon as you heard the word tomboy. Allison and September are supposed to be best friends, but it's not shown much. They don't interact as much as they should. In fact, I'm certain she interacts more with Jabari, and she is Jabari's #1 hater, to the point where it's damn near comical. She has an issue merely being around him. She can't stand his black ass.
Is it because I'm black?
In the first volume, it's hinted that she has like an abusive parent, and I can already assume that she was probably conditioned into having a hard-ass demeanor for her mother's approval, and I'm confident in this assumption because that's typically how this archetype plays out. During the first mission, she gets into a fight with Jabari, and it takes a while for anyone to interfere. Their comrade is trading blows with a guy they just met a few hours ago, but they don't immediately stop it, and it proves my point about the team not really having their connections firmly constructed. And then there's Han. Han is sort of just Han. His personality is fairly boring. He's meant to be like the quirky, nerdy, comedic relief type character, but unfortunately he doesn't have the wit or charm for that character type, so he ends up coming off as a dork. Like his little robot machines are named after Minions characters. I kind of want to shove him into a locker for that. Sometimes they try too hard to make him appear funny when he's not. You have to be a bit careful when writing a character like this, or else the audience may perceive them as cringe. You have to make sure the person writing his lines is naturally funny and charismatic themselves. I feel like his character would be executed a lot better that way. Lastly, we have Jabari himself. His years as a musical savant has given him an enormous ego. He's got the exaggerated swagger of a black teen, and his cockiness can be annoying sometimes. But I'm sure that's an intentional character flaw, and he'll most likely have an arc to learn some humility. My biggest issue with Jabari is that he's way too OP for a newbie. Each member of the team has these super suits. Jabari doesn't get any training or tutorial on how to use the suits, and he's already blasting monsters away when he first appears in one.
I'm starting to see the flaws that at least he's pointing out, and it's weird, man, because on one hand, I want to give a lot of grace, because anyone that can just get out their body and create a body of work and then bring it to life in the way that Cory has, I want to give a lot of respect to that. I want to, applaud that, because that is big, you know what I'm saying? That's an end goal for a lot of artists that never get that opportunity. So now obviously he's big, famous, mega rich YouTuber, and he has all the resources to make it possible. But that's not really the point. The fact that you can see someone, a black kid who started out as a nobody, just like a lot of us, you know what I'm saying? And then to rise to the ranks of fame and status that he has, and then to take that and turn it into something like this, I respect it. And, you know, I think I'd imagine any manga creator, or any creator of cartoons or stories, it took time, you know what I mean? It took time to develop that skill. It took time to find the right writers, the right inspirations, the right artists. So I'll say this, as you know, and we're gonna finish this video, I'm definitely enjoying it. But if we're gonna judge the art just based off the art, if it's not that good, we can't give this biased side eye just because it's Cory, right? And I think, you know, regardless of it hurts his feelings or not, that's the feedback he needs to get better. And whether it develops more through this story or he starts a new one. You know, how many animes and mangas have other actual artists, you know, that make mangas have made and failed and weren't successful before they had their home run story, before they had their home run, you know, situation that everyone resonated with, or the different renditions of animes and mangas that started like this and that it didn't necessarily hit home, so they had to switch something and make it into a new story, but originally it's the same story and the same idea. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different versions of how this can end and develop into something great, as if this is something that he wants to continue to take seriously. So there's that, man. You know, as an artist, as a creative, as somebody that, you know, loves this space, he has my respect. I think it's dope. And, you know, I'm not mad at this feedback. I think this is good, genuine feedback. The only way I could challenge it, again, is forming my own opinion and reading it. But I can see how easily, you know, for it being somebody's first manga, this can be a lot of the flaws. Like, these flaws make sense, you know?
He doesn't know how he's doing that shit. There's no real learning process for his abilities. He, for some reason, already knows how to fight with no prior experience. For comparison, that would be like Deku already knowing how to control One For All, or Naruto already knowing how to use the Rasengan. It's not rewarding to see him fight on the same level as people more experienced than him. It would be a whole lot more enticing for the audience if they were learning along with him. Jabbar is the fish out of water, so it would make more sense if the reader were experiencing things vicariously through him. I hope they improve on writing him like that from here on out. I don't really like using the word generic. It feels like a vague criticism and it fails to articulate the real flaw. But here the word seems appropriate since the character writing is based on recognizable tropes. It's difficult to really analyze any of these characters outside of surface level observations because we don't know much about the main cast. We don't gain much knowledge on the group's dynamics and chemistry. The first mission could have been a perfect opportunity to focus on the main cast's motivations and reasonings for being here. But unfortunately, most of the time isn't spent on this. The rest of the cast isn't much better. In fact, they're way worse. The second volume is centered around a tournament arc. The tournament arc introduces a bunch of nobodies that aren't really plot relevant. That sounds familiar. They solely exist to showcase the different ability variations of the power system. The only notable characters are Rafe and Fane. Rafe feels like Cory's attempt to have a Gaara-like character without fully understanding Gaara's main strengths. And Fane's a Disney Channel bully caricature. The artist even gave him the Chad meme.
No. Hell nah.
Haircut. You would think he was a gag character if he wasn't treated so seriously. I think some of the lines the characters deliver don't feel natural. The dialogue can sometimes be corny and juvenile. There were a few times where I found myself confused at what I just read. Cory is a funny dude, so I was super disappointed that there weren't any funny jokes. I guess it's because there's a difference between having a funny personality and being skilled enough to write funny jokes.
Yeah, you know, I that's what I've always said, even about myself. When you guys comment like, "Oh, you're so funny, Berto," bro, I'm not a comedian, man. You know, sometimes I feel like y'all be laughing at me more than you're laughing with me, because I don't be trying to be funny. I just say some bullshit that come to my head, and either it's funny or it's not, but these are just real thoughts.
The pacing in the story is far too fast. Cory runs into the amateur mistake of wanting to get to the enticing moments as quickly as possible, muddying a lot of the build-up. In order to receive a satisfying payoff, you have to put in the work to properly set things up. Jabari goes on his first mission in volume 1 and then gets into a tournament arc in the very next volume. That's like if Deku got one for all in volume 1 and then fought Todoroki the following volume. You're moving at such a fast rate to get to the hype moments in Aura. You gotta slow down a bit, buddy. Not every arc has to start and end within a single volume. It feels like you're fast forwarding to the good parts and not setting time to build the world and the characters within it. I don't think Cory and the other Cory have much professional writing experience. It seems that they base their storytelling on tropes and commonalities of whatever they read. I don't think they studied the craft of creating actualized characters in a cohesive narrative. I suggest touching up on the fundamentals and working towards perfecting your writing style. Despite all the sales numbers, there's not that many people talking about it. There's very little discussion about it in any manga spaces. Monsters We Make should have a way bigger fan base, but a large portion of Cory's fans just don't seem interested. And sure, some of it is out of spite because Cory keeps leaving to work on it, but after all the initial hype died down, people cared less and less with each installment. There's no active community. Like, the wiki is not even finished. You know it's bad when the wiki isn't even finished.
Damn.
I honestly don't think this manga comic novel would be selling well if Cory's name wasn't attached to it. The reality is that as a massive YouTuber, there will be tons of fans who will buy your product simply because you're associated with it. I myself wouldn't be reading this stuff or making a video on it if Cory wasn't involved. And that's not to discredit his work. He still worked hard to get it made. It's just that most of the fanfare is revolved around you and not the actual product itself. Even the dedicated subreddit's top posts are focused on Cory or buying the book, but not what's inside of it. I saw that they did a fan art competition a while ago where the winners were canonically implemented into the story, and that was a really cool and fun way to build a genuine community. I think they should do more stuff like that to bring people in. Despite all my grievances, I respect the dedication he put into this. Most other people would have given up by now. Cory is a good dude, and he's clearly passionate about this stuff. I support him and his endeavors. The team behind it is also very invested in their work. Even though I think the series is a mediocre read, it could have been way worse. Every other YouTuber manga is more of a gimmick for their brand. This one feels genuine. There's love put into it. I should be worried that there's a possibility Cory might see me shit all over his work, but I doubt it. He'll probably leave for another 9 months by the time this video's out. Typical blacks, am I right?
Oh man, W video, man. I think what's this guy's name? He actually did a great job. I'll just give him a little shout out. Randy Boy Jr. Y'all go tap in with him. But I think this was a very fair feedback. I don't think it was evil. I don't think it was like attacking and not giving real criticism. Again, it's hard to argue any of his points because I have not read Cory's manga, but kind of like he said, man, you know, I'm not like a hype beast anime person. You know, I like to find my little niche animes and mangas that I get into, but nobody's talking about this shit. Like I haven't seen anything that's made me like really want to dive in past Cory's trailers. And, you know, I get excited when I see those, but I still haven't read it yet. So, and you know, I'm pretty good about picking good content to consume. So I don't know, man. Y'all let me know. I really want to hear y'all feedback. All the CoryxKenshin fans that, you know, have tapped in or haven't tapped in. Why haven't you tapped in? Or if you have tapped in, what do you think? Do you think that these critiques were accurate? Or do you think that no, it's actually way better than bro is making it seem?
Where you at, Berto?
cielos, ulic